Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Kendra Nicole Podcast. I am not even going to speak to the fact that I have not had an episode up over the last couple of months. We're just going to skip right over that and go right into the good stuff. More to come on that later. I'm sure you guys will know here soon why that has been the case. But for now, I'm going to just jump into the topic because I do have a call coming up in about 30 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? I just got off of a podcast interview that got me really diving deep into a topic that I wanted to hop on here and share with you guys some more. So let's talk about forward progress in your business and why it might seem that some folks are moving faster or just making more progress in their business, whether that is publicity or sales or whatever it is, whatever you might deem as success. They're getting there quicker. Maybe you feel like you are running around in a hamster wheel in a circle and you're like, listen, I'm working so hard, but I don't feel like I'm getting the progress that I should get. This is going to be an episode for you. So of course, in true Kendra Nicole fashion, no notes here on this one. I'm just going to kind of speak to this. So yeah, I might hop around a little bit, but it'll be all good. So as you guys know, I am a fractional CFO to some amazing women entrepreneurs, and I have a whole team of accountants that support them from an accounting, bookkeeping, financial reporting standpoint. So I see the insight and the inside of dozens and over time, hundreds of businesses since I've been a full-time entrepreneur for almost 10 years now. I've seen some wildly successful businesses that scaled and grew like wildfire. I've seen some that have become fairly successful, but have taken like a decade to get to where they are. And through all of these learnings, also through the learning of my own business, and like I said, being an entrepreneur for almost 10 years now, full time for like almost 7 years now, I feel like there's a underlying trend or thread that I can really speak to when it comes to forward progress. So we're entrepreneurs. We come up with things, we create things. That's great. But in order for it to be successful, we got to get it to the finish line. We got to get it in front of the right people. We have to, market it and of course make sure it's priced right and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it just has to get done. And what I see often, not just with like actual clients of ours, but even just entrepreneurs that I speak to, people who just ask me questions, folks who slide into the DMs and ask questions, is are you making true forward progress in your business, or are you running around in the hamster wheel? And one way that you can know if you're running around in the hamster wheel is if you feel like you're not actually like checking off projects. If you feel like you are maybe checking off individual tasks, but you're not actually getting a whole project completed, done, and moved over, and out of the way. If there are a lot of different tabs, like literally and figuratively open in your mind, and each of these tabs is a project or a thing that you want to get done. If you have 10 of them open and you're actively working on 10 completely different projects, I can let you know that you probably do feel like you're running in a hamster wheel. That's just way too many things to put your energy and time and resources, financial resources into. And so one of the key things that I can say is you're going to make a lot more forward progress if you focus in on one to like maybe 3 things. The numbers are arbitrary. It could be 1 to 4, depending on how big these projects are. It could be just 1, depending on how big your project is. But the point is, if you feel like you're working in too many different things, then you're working in too many different things. And this happens a lot these days because of the whole shiny object syndrome. And, oh, I want to now, maybe offer this course, or I want to maybe sign up for this course, or I want to collaborate with this person. And if you don't have the thing that you were working on a week ago already closer to the finish line than it was a week ago, then you probably don't need to then dip your toe into something completely new and different. So here's one thing I'll just kind of say that hopefully is helpful is first, just brain dump everything that you are involved in. Anything that you're working on, whether it's for your business, a collaboration with someone else, for somebody else's business, whatever, just brain dump it all down to see how many pots you're stirring. And first get that down. And then maybe even write down how far along these things are. So if that list is 15 different things, and the first thing you're like 85% completed, the second thing you just started, so maybe you're 5% completed. Like, how far along are you? Roughly estimate. Don't spend a whole lot of time trying to be specific and perfect with these numbers, but roughly estimate where you are, how close you are to the finish line. Then maybe even prioritize the list. But ultimately, what you're trying to get to is a deeper understanding on where all of your time and energy and money is going. Because again, if it's spread across 10, 15 different things, it's going to be very, very difficult to get forward progress when you're spread that thin on all of these different things. It's going to be a lot easier, a lot smoother if you focus that energy in, get that one thing done, get it to the finish line so that it's completely off of your list, and then you can move on to whatever the next priority item is. I honestly feel like sometimes what I see, a lot of times what I see with folks who have their hands in a lot of different pots, they haven't slowed down. This might not be you, but just saying, they haven't slowed down to really assess what they actually really want to do. And so because they're not super clear on their end goal, they just do a little bit of everything. And shiny object syndrome impacts those who are not clear on their end goal. It impacts them the most. Folks who are very set on, this is what I want to happen in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, this is what I'm doing this for, this is what I'm gonna retire in whatever amount of years doing X, Y, and Z, and I'm clear on the goal and the path. Shiny objects don't really matter. It's like you see them and they're like, oh, that's cool, that would be interesting, but I have no desire because this is where I'm going. If you don't know that though, if you don't know what that end goal is, if you don't have that clarity, everything looks interesting. It probably is the same in dating. I haven't been in the dating world in a while, but I would assume it's the same way in dating, where if you don't know what you want, you date any and everything. And then you get tired and frustrated. And, it's probably the same thing. So get clear on what it is that you want and why you're in entrepreneurship in the first place, what your business is actually supposed to do. Some of my best clients, and this I can't say factually because I thought about this before I hopped on here because I wanted to really think through this before coming on here and saying this, but some of my best clients are, like amazing. They're doing amazingly well with like the smallest of teams. They are laser focused on what their end goal is. We have actually strategized what their end goal is, like literally where they want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, not outside of the business, not even just the business, like their personal life, what that's going to look like. Laser focused. We know exactly what that is. It's not to say that in a year or two, things might not shift or change. Maybe they get married or they have children and things might evolve, whatever, that's great. But it's easier to judge and adjust a clear plan than it is to take every day, day by day, and have no vision and no goal. Because again, everything is then going to look interesting to you. And you're going to put your hands into everything. And that's just not the way to go. So again, if you feel like you're on this hamster wheel and just running and running and running and running, you probably are on a hamster wheel, and the hamster wheel gets nowhere, right? It just exhausts you, but you're not actually making forward progress. You are literally running in place. So if you feel that way, write everything up, just as I spoke about, and see what are you going to put on pause. I do want to be clear on that this does not mean that the 10, 15 things that you are a part of, that none of them are important, only focus on one thing and then like cancel everything else. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that everything is not meant to happen right now. And that's also something that is clear to someone who has a clear plan. Because if you come to me and you say, I really, we're working the plan, everything's going great, and then a new vision comes to your mind and you're like, I really want to do this. I want to do this in addition to my current business. I want to launch this other thing that might be a sister product or it might be a completely different business. Either way, you come to me with that and you're like, I want to do this. if the conversation after we review your plan and your strategy and your resources, if it doesn't align and make sense to do today, and I say, okay, yeah, great, but based on the data, based on your plan and what you're wanting, that looks like a great thing to put on the calendar for 6 months from now, for a year from now, from 3 years from now, then you would be like, okay, yep, makes sense. It's your plan, it's your data. You can always say, you know what, I know that's what I said, but no, let's cancel it, let's adjust it. Again, it's easier to adjust a clear plan than it is to play it day by day. But you're running it through your plan first, at least. If you did not have a plan, I guarantee you would then just start that other business. And starting a business, another leg of a business, when you're already running on a hamster wheel, it just doesn't make sense. But it's going to lure you in because you're probably going to think that's going to be the thing that's going to work, or that's going to be the thing that's going to take off. And it's not to crush a dream or to try to delay a dream or anything like that. It's just to say, stop for a moment, understand where your priority is, understand what your end goal is, and that is going to help you create what your plan, like what your next steps are. And you have to have that. You have to have some level of clarity there in order to make it an entrepreneurship. Otherwise, you're going to be flying by the wind. And let me tell you what else is going to happen. Your team, the morale is going to go out of the window. Because imagine you are back when you were part of a team, right? When you didn't own your own business and you were part of a team and you're working so hard to get something to the finish line with the rest of your team, you get 85% of the way there just for boss, upper management, whoever, the powers that be, to say, great work, team, getting us 85% of the way, but this is 85% of the way there, but this is no longer of a priority. I'm going to put this to the side. Don't do anything else with it. We're not working on that anymore. This new thing over here, this is the hot thing. We're going to do this. And then you work really hard on that. You get 65% of the way there. They're like, you know what? This isn't the priority anymore. This isn't hot anymore. Pause, put that to the side. We're going to work on this. The morale goes out the window. They no longer trust that you really know what you're doing. They no longer trust that you have a plan because you don't have a plan. And so it just crushes the work ethic of the team, which obviously is not good when you're trying to scale your business. You need your team to have high work ethic. You need your team to believe in you as a leader. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's the end. That's the point that I'm trying to make here is it impacts you, it impacts your team, it impacts your ability to be as successful as you want to be where you want to be. A plan is important. The plan does not have to be this 60-page printed out in a binder and laminated plan. It does not have to be that, but there should be a high level idea of where you're trying to be, and why. Knowing the why of your goal is just as important, if not more, than knowing your goal. I'll give you an example of what that could look like. Okay, I could say in 3 years from now, I want to be in my business generating it. Let me make it less than 3 years because I want to say 3 and some of y'all are going to check out like, no, I need this to be quicker. In a year from now, I need my business to be generating $20K a month in recurring revenue, whether that's I'm selling a product or I'm a consultant, whatever, $20K a month in recurring product. And it's going to be me, and I'm going to have an assistant, and I'm going to have one other person on the team. And I don't want to work. I want my hours to be Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the reason why is because I absolutely need to have my me time in the afternoons. Maybe we're going to grow a family, whatever it is. I need to make that amount of money because that's enough. I've done the math to know that's enough to cover me and my team and also save $5K a month or whatever. Okay. You have very specific reasons why. So that if that's your written out plan, if in 3 months somebody comes to you and they're like, listen, I got this great new idea. We have to, travel to wherever to do some research on it. It's going to take you out of your business for about 2 or 3 months because we have to really do all the upfront digging on this and research on this to make this thing happen. But man, when it happens, I mean, it might blow up. And if it blows up, then, you know, you could be making like $200,000 a year. But you're going to have to work really, really hard those first few years because it's a new business and we got to get funding. And so that means we got to pitch to investors. That is not at all in alignment with what you just said that you wanted out of your life. Like if you wanted to be about that jet set life and that working really hard life because you're trying to now pitch for funding, and like that's a completely different type of a life that you just said that you wanted to live. So that shiny object of that person coming to you about this bold new idea, you can easily look at it and say, cute, but not for me. Versus if you didn't do that simple exercise of knowing what's important to you, that opportunity coming your way, particularly on a day where maybe you're not making the sales that you want, it's going to sound really exciting, right? So hopefully that helps in understanding why I'm saying that it's important to have a plan. The other one little caveat that I'll mention here on like I guess a characteristic of folks that I know that are really successful, being decisive, okay? Being decisive is important. Um, and I will put this out there and say that I am a very decisive person. And people that are not decisive, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like get it to the finish line. What, like just make a decision, because even if it's the wrong decision, we can course correct, but like you got to make a decision for us to move. So I'm a little biased here. So I might say the plan 100% you have to have. Being decisive, maybe you don't, but maybe I'm just being biased. But the reason why I say being decisive is important is because you can make that progress quicker. You can go forward. If you're indecisive, and I mean like hella indecisive, like if it takes you a day or two to brew on something, that's fine. But if you are just never moving in your business because you have so many questions that are pending, that the team is like, so should we do this or should we not do this? And you're just like lagging and lollygagging for weeks and months and not moving, that can obviously stall your progress. So make the decision. Now, of course, there are going to be some things where you might say, okay, I just need more data before I make the decision. Okay, great. Gather the data. But for some things where it's like you can just move yes or no, then move yes or no. And if it's the wrong decision or if it didn't work out the way you wanted, you can pivot. The one thing I say about entrepreneurship is we have the power of pivoting. You know, we are agile and flexible, where huge, large companies and corporations are not. You know, they can come up with an amazing idea and take years to actually get that idea out to market. As an entrepreneur, I can make a decision today and probably have it out to market in 48 hours if I wanted to. So we're very flexible, right? So because we're very flexible, it should help in our ability to be decisive. But I think for folks who are naturally indecisive, it almost is harmful. Like it causes them, or perhaps you, to be more indecisive because you're like, oh, because I can make a decision so quickly, let me slow it down because I don't want to mess up everything. But I guess for those folks, I would just say, you know, again, in entrepreneurship, almost everything is fixable, almost. So use the data, you know, get whatever information you need to make a decision, but then make a decision. Okay. I almost can see in my mind somebody hearing that and saying, well, Kendra said make a decision, and I really want to buy this $40,000 car for my business that I absolutely don't really need. But I mean, I've been thinking about it. Now Kendra said make a decision, so I'm going to decide to buy it. I'm not saying to not still go to your advisors, to not still leverage your accountants, your CPAs, your CFOs, your business managers, your partners to make smart, educated decisions. I'm just saying make the decision. Like, don't let things just sit on your desk forever. But the decisiveness thing, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, whether you are decisive or you're not, it doesn't matter if you don't have a plan. I'll go back to that. Like, I'll round out this conversation again by saying, have a plan, know your why, know your goal, and know your why for that goal. That's really key. That's really, really key. That's going to keep you going in this thing called entrepreneurship. If you don't have those goals and you don't know your why and you don't have a plan to get to those goals, then everything is going to look exciting to you, which is going to slow your forward progress. Everything is going to, involve your take away and involve your time and energy and finances, and you're not going to be able to get that momentum. So that is the point of this episode. Hope all is well. Maybe I'll just keep going this way and just pop in when I can pop in, y'all. But if there's anything in particular that you want me to talk through or go over, I will be happy to do so. Just send me an email, info@thefinancefemme.com. You can obviously see us over on Instagram as well at The Finance Femme. But yeah, it's been great talking to you guys. I hope you all got your taxes and everything done on time. Here we are, March 21st in 2024. So yeah, hopefully you are working through those taxes or got those business returns already done. If you have questions about taxes, you can email us, but I'll tell you, we're already booked. Our Mints and Lanes tax division is already booked up for this tax season. But if you do have questions, particularly about tax strategy, then definitely feel free to shoot us over an email. All right, hope all is well, and I will talk to you guys soon. Signing off on the Kendra Nicole Podcast.